Hello and welcome. My name is James. I'm with Betterway Investments, and I'm going to be showing you guys today how to look up leads, qualify leads, and get information in Podio, everything from note-taking, looking up taxes, finding owners' contact information, phone numbers, logging, etc. So by the end of this video, you should be relatively familiar with Podio, and I'll have you on the right track, whether you're trying to get information to call and pursue leads from home, or whether you're on the streets of Chicago knocking on doors, etc., and trying to get a hold of the owners. I'm going to be showing you how to use Podio and how to do all that. So let's get started. Now, when you first log in or create your Podio account, once you've been given access to the workspace, this is the area you're going to have. This is what you're going to be greeted with. This is the home. The only thing really here from the home, this is just feed of like leads that get updates or comments on. This isn't important. What matters here is look up resources. These links, everything here, which we have a doc of, which Dan or someone else here can send or email to you if it's not in the description of this video. You want to go into every single one of these links and bookmark them because these are important and we use them. Now the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to go into our current workspace, which we work in the most, which is Daniel Wynn REI. Now that we're here, I'm going to kind of explain what this is here in Podio. Think of Podio like a big spreadsheet. It's kind of like Facebook and Google Sheets combined. So you have a spreadsheet, you click into a lead on the spreadsheet, it takes you to that lead, to that page, and in that page, it's kind of like a post by a person on Facebook. So you can go and you can comment, you can tag people in that lead, you can take notes in the comments. That's where we put all the notes. So if we talk with that person, if we get information on the property, if we find pictures of the property, if we find if there's too much mortgage debt so we can't work with it, etc. We mark it in, there are certain parameters in the lead, exclude, low value, contact made, working with them, hot lead, etc. After you work or look into it, you mark that off, you put in the comments or in the notes what's going on, you let people know, but I can't tell you enough how crucial it is to take notes, everything, all the property information, because one, that saves people time. If you take notes privately on this notebook, you don't tell anyone about it, they'll go into that lead thinking it's fresh. They're going to go and waste time and potentially money on pulling skip traces, on pulling data and all that when you already pulled the information. If you pull information, share it. If you talk with the owner, let them know, let everybody in the comments know how the conversation is going, what the status is at. So if Dan, underwriting, or management comes in to take a look at it, they know what the situation is. You have to let people know what's going on, especially if you get a hold of the owner and you're talking to them. You got to put that in the notes. It's very important. That's a very crucial step. You can also put pictures of the property, etc. If you're on the streets or up close with the property, you can put them up there and upload files, etc. Reports, anything like that. So first thing we're going to do, the main section we're going to want to be in is the property section. That's where all the leads are. So here in the property section, this is what you're going to see. It's all kind of spread out here. There are filters, which are very self-explanatory. You can go in and apply filters. The filters I tend to do are expiring within 30 days. So that means their debt is coming up and they're going to lose their house within 30 days. That means they're motivated and they're on a time crunch. The walls are coming in. So they actually are going to want to work with us. They can't say, oh, I got 6-8 months, so I'll talk to you then. It's now. They need help now. You can also exclude parameters here. You could go to sorting. I tend to, in this area, you can sort by estimated property value, ascending, descending, etc. Layouts, so you can change it to a badge, so it's bigger like this, to a card. I like my information compact and right up front, so I do a table. And you can also drag these parameters in just like a spreadsheet. But you don't have to do any of that because I've created what's called a view. A view is basically a preset of how you have the data and everything organized. So if we click here, JB view, I'm pretty sure that's one I have too. Okay, no, this one's empty. So James Bullen view 4/11/2021. So April 11th. We click into there. Bam! It sorts all the data for us in the way I have it. If you sort the data and organize everything in a way you like to go through and get to it, you can let other people use that same thing so they don't have to go in and redo it by creating view, title, your view, name the date, and set it to team view so other people can access it. If it's private, no one else can see it. So I'm going to go ahead and go in here. This gives us, a lot of information we need. Latest status, priority, final decision date. So this is the date expiring, estimated value, spread. So that's the property value minus the estimated taxes. So this tells how much potential we have to work with. The PIN. So there's a lot of information here. One thing we want to keep up with is latest status, redeemed. That means they looked the taxes up and they paid their taxes off. So they don't have the problem anymore. They're not in debt. We can't help them. We don't mess around with that. Redeem is red. That means stop. Just don't bother with the redeem lead. There's nothing we can do with that. Now, if we hover here, contact made, that means they've talked to them. They could be working with them. Not contacted. Priority, follow up. That means keep calling them. Cold means we're not getting anywhere, or the outlook isn't good, etc. So we're just going to go ahead and find I have a random lead pulled up here that is empty. And this here, Clifford Jordan, he's the guy who sets up the AI in Podio, which pulls a lot of the information for us. So he's not actually going this doing by hand. This is like his account, the AI sorting through all that. So it's normal to see stuff from Cliff here. Just ignore it. Don't worry about it. So we're going to go here, 310 West Cermak Road. I think that's what it's called in Chicago. So we hear latest status not contacted, so no one's talked to them. Looks like the lead was created 8 months ago. Estimated spread, 300K estimated spread. That's pretty good. Now, the most important thing here is the PIN. The PIN is what we use to look up their taxes. That's how we find the owner's name, etc. And that's important. Now, if you get on here, just go through a few leads, familiarize yourself with how everything looks, with how the data's ordered out. You can go through all here and change all of this if you need to. So it looks like Podio got a Zillow URL for us, so we can click in here. Look at the house on Zillow. This looks like a commercial property. So usually we don't, commercial properties do have potential, but generally we don't mess with stuff like this. But for the sake of this tutorial, we're still going to go through it. So you can go through all of here, expire within 30 days flag. You can turn that on. All the different parameters, occupied or vacant, the county. So this is Cook County. This is probably the easiest county to look up in our primary county we work with. Property value. So there's all this data here. Now, once we talk to them, we'd go through, or once we look it up, if we look it up in the taxes, it says redeem, we'd mark this. If it's a really ugly prop, it's a complete teardown, there's no hope, or it's flooded in debt, there's more debt than value, we mark it exclude. Say I talk to them and they're a little like, yeah, call me back tomorrow. I want to hear more of what you guys have to say. We'd mark this at warm, contact made, and we put in the notes, yeah, I talked with him. His name was, let's just say, Josh. And he says it's 40K in debt, blah, 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 that it needs some rehab and and this is what's happening. You got to let people know what's going on. If you have a question or like, you could @ and tag. If you were on the streets and you took pictures of the house or a video, you could actually drag them into the comments so other people could see them. If you pulled a skip trace, downloaded the report with all the phone numbers, you could also drag it on here for other people to see. However, Podio does a lot of this information for us. As you can see, it was able to find the property value, the spread, so it looks like there's only $1,000 in taxes, even though it says this is a $300,000 property, but only $1,000 in taxes, and they've owed for 4 years, and that doesn't seem right. So I think this value is a lot lower than what Zillow thinks. So let's go ahead and take this address and copy it. That's the first thing we look at is the address. Let's go ahead and look at it in Street View. So it's an ugly commercial property. Maybe there's potential here I'm not seeing. I'm not an expert in this, so I'm just looking from the outside. I've never been to Chicago, so this is something Dan would be able to look at and just say a yay or nay. But generally, I'd assume this is not something we would work with. But for the sake of the tutorial, let's just pretend that this is a 3-bed, 2-bath, bread and butter family home in a nice area that we want to work with. So the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to pull the tax to see if it's redeemed, because if the taxes are redeemed, we don't want to waste our time looking at other stuff. So we're going to copy this pin right here, and we're going to go to tax delinquent search, which is one of the links in the board, the lookup resources board that I had earlier. Again, you should have gone through all those sites and bookmarked them. We're going to put this pin in here and enter. So it looks like urgent this here, red text. We like that. That means that the tax date's coming up soon. They've got debt. They have a problem that they need solved. So this is good. So we'd put in the comments, urgent, taxes not paid. Don't worry about the property putting all this gibberish in the section. This is just a bug we're dealing with. Normally this wouldn't be here, so just ignore this. Urgent, taxes not paid. So if somebody came in 2 days later and they say, oh, James looked at the taxes 2 days ago, it's still not paid. Could have paid it from then, so let's go ahead and double check, and they could look it up from there. Now, the next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to confirm the owner's name, see if they have any mortgages or any debt that puts the property out of value. So we're going to go ahead and put the pin here on the Cook County Recorder of Deeds. This is where we find all the documents, regarding liens, transfers, etc. And we're going to go ahead and enter the pin. All right, now we've looked this up. We can see here there was a quitclaim deed. That means title of the property was transferred over. There's Jean So Jean Martinez, for this it reverses first and last name, so whatever you see first is the last name. And Xavier Yanez, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, probably not. And it looks like Jose, there was a release here. So Jose Volgigiano, I don't know how to pronounce that, had a mortgage here. So let's look at this mortgage. So Martinez, it's grantor, he took out a mortgage from this Jose, we'll just call it that, I can't pronounce that last name, 2017. The mortgage was for 48, or the loan 48,000. Now this is debt on the property, but if you go up here and we look at the release from 2019, there's no doc number here actually, so it looks like he might still own on this. He might still owe, so this would subtract, mortgage debt subtracts from the property value. So if there's a property that's worth 100K and then it's got a 70K, 80K mortgage, then that's not worth it because it just destroys the value. Scrolling here, there's another mortgage that it looks like Jose took out from Nova Mortgage Credit Corp in 1996. Now if we want to know if a mortgage has been paid this year, this doc number, the last four is 7632. We scroll up, see release, that means paid off, you're good to go. What's the last? The last four, 7632, that's paid off. So this here, there is a release, but the doc numbers don't match, so it looks like he probably still owes on this, unless it's just an error here, which does happen sometimes. I know it's county website, it's the government, they do still make mistakes. But regardless, even with this $48,000 mortgage, if this was a $200,000, $300,000 property, even subtracting that, that still has value. So we're going to keep looking into this. We're going to go ahead and go into here. Now normally we would take this and we would go to a skip tracing website. We use a few different ones. The current one, I don't know what we're using. But you would go in, you would paste in the address, you'd paste in the name, it'd spend 25 cents, pull up phone numbers, you'd call all of them, find out what numbers are good, what numbers aren't, put all that in the notes. However, Podio now does a lot of that work for us. So if you scroll down here, contact data. This takes us to a lead in another section, which has all of the contact information, name, phone number of the property owner that it looks, there's that bug again, don't worry about it. That Podio pulls for us. So now we don't have to go through and do all this by hand, it already has all the information. Now remember, if you call these numbers here, see on here it says the primary contact is Jean Martinez, so maybe he's someone who lives in the property but doesn't own it. Maybe he's a tenant or he owned it in the past, so this would still be worth calling. Now, you can call him on your cell phone here or Google Voice, etc. I use Google Voice and call from my computer. And keep in mind, if I talk to Jean, right, and he's like, yeah, I'm interested in working with you, I can potentially help, or no, not now, maybe call back in 2 weeks, but here's the situation, I'm not living it, etc. Information like that, you log it in the properties section, the property lead itself. Remember, do not put it in the contact them section because we don't see this here. We click into the lead. You want it in the properties section where we keep all the notes, not in the contact them section. Now, say you were to call these numbers. This one was a bad number. I would mark this BN bad or a WN for wrong number so other people don't call it. If it was a good number, I'd paste it in here, say this is his number, this is we talked, etc. And we'd put all the information in there. So I just show you guys how to get their contact data. I showed you how to go into the Cook County Clerk's office to find mortgage debt, liens, etc. Just remember, mortgages, liens, all that, it subtracts from the property value if they're not paid off. However, they still need tax liens and debt of some point in order to need to potentially sell or get a loan on the property. So we don't want zero debt. If there's if there's only $300 in taxes, then that's not a potential deal there. They're not going to lose their house over $300. That's not something we can help them. Let's go ahead and role play and say we call and Jose or whoever his name was. We go into here into the property section. I talked with Jose. The property needs a bit of rehab. He said the roof was broken, but the value is still good. He says he also has a mechanic's lien and he doesn't live there and his daughter is kind of living in the property and has a, stuff like that. You always want to get that information and put that in there so we know what's going on. So once we have all the information and we're good from there, then that would go off to management and Dan and the others, and they would give the yay or nay if we're going to pursue this or not. If we did, then they would work with you and they'd take that from there. You get your cut. We close a deal, we help them pay their taxes off or save their property, or we help them sell their property so they at least get something instead of the government taking their property and they get nothing. So that's generally how Podio works. I know there's a lot of UI and it looks complicated and intimidating at first, but trust me, It's very simple and self-explanatory. Just think of it as a very big spreadsheet. Go into Podio, familiarize yourself with it. Go into all the sites, bookmark all the different websites. Practice looking up the information on a couple different leads. Familiarize yourself with all the different terms, all the different deeds, warranty deed, court doc, release, affidavit. Look up what all this stuff means if you don't know. Google gives you a pretty good straight answer. And just familiarize yourself with the whole thing, the whole workflow we have here. And I'm fairly confident you'll be closing deals with us soon. My name's James. Thanks for joining me today. I hope this video added value to your day. Thank you.